Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So, have you ever thought about what happens when really deep spiritual ideas kind of crash head-on with something like intellectual property law?
Yeah. Sounds like a pretty unusual collision, doesn't it?
Well, you're about to find out today, because our source material, it's got maybe the most provocative claim we've seen linked to an actual piece of technology.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Get this. The human paradise is not a product. It is a sacred token of the living Lord.
Wow. Okay, that single sentence, I think that's really the key to this whole deep dive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Our mission today is basically to navigate the claims made by Master Fuchi Wu and his co-author Junshi Dij.
Right, in their document, The Living Lord's Token, Human Paradise Revealed.
Exactly, and we have to somehow hold these two wildly different ideas together at the same time.
What are they?
On one hand, you've got this intense, almost apocalyptic spiritual language, citing things like Master's Insight, #066. And on the other, you have these very specific, very grounded references to U.S. patent number US 8268058B2. And talk about huge potential patent payouts.
Yeah, that's the real tension here, isn't it? This isn't just some philosophical text.
Not at all.
It's a document that seems to use legal claims, the promise of winning big in court over patents, as the proof for divine prophecy.
It's like they're saying financial and legal success has to happen first.
To trigger this global spiritual awakening. It's kind of backward or maybe forwards, depending on how you look at it.
Precisely. And the bedrock of all these claims, the Master's authority, it rests on what he calls the key to longevity.
Something revealed directly by the Lord.
That's the claim. And this revelation supposedly forms the universal law governing life, aging, death, everything.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that core concept right away. It feels like the engine driving everything else they talk about.
It really is.
So what is this fundamental universal law, the one that explains aging?
It's defined as the body toxin accumulation saturation point.
Body toxin accumulation saturation point.
Okay. Now, when you first hear that, your mind probably goes to, I don't know, detox diets, maybe supplements, general anti-aging stuff we hear about.
Sure, yeah. Wellness trends?
Right. But the authors are super quick to shut that down. They stress this is not just some wellness theory.
Okay, so not a theory, but a law. Like gravity is a law. That's a big claim.
Huge.
But what does hitting that saturation point actually mean, practically speaking?
Well, they frame it as this absolute threshold. The source states very clearly that this point is the universal law behind aging, sickness, and death.
So the idea is the body collects toxins over time.
Exactly. And in their view, these toxins are the root cause of all decay, all aging. The saturation point is like the biological cliff edge.
The moment your body just can't clear them out anymore.
That's the idea. The body's natural ability to purge just gets overwhelmed. And according to the Master, that's the point of no return for, staying young and healthy long term.
Right. So if the saturation point is the big problem, then this token, the human paradise device, must be presented as the solution, the way to bypass it.
Absolutely. That's the connection. And the promise tied to it is enormous.
What exactly are they promising?
That by understanding this law, and crucially, by interacting with the divine nature of this token, humanity gets the ultimate truth of human longevity, youth, and liberation.
So physical aging is directly linked to managing this toxin level.
Directly. Your ability to deal with that saturation point determines everything, according to this.
And just connecting back to the legal side for a second.
Yeah.
This crucial knowledge, this ultimate truth, it doesn't get released until the Master actually wins these lawsuits he's expecting.
That's the really fascinating, maybe unique wrinkle here. The source claims that as the lawsuits are won, and they seem very confident they will be won,
Right.
these revelations, all the details on slow aging, youth preservation, toxin-free sleep, air sanctity, all of it will just flood the world.
Like a divine current, I think they called it.
Yeah, exactly. A torrent watching over everyone. But only after the legal victories. Legal success first, then spiritual enlightenment.
Which brings us right back to the physical object at the heart of all this, the human paradise.
The device itself.
Yeah. Now, the source material links it to a specific patent, right? A high-efficiency labyrinth air treatment device.
US 8268058B2, yes.
Okay, so it sounds like an air purifier, basically.
Yeah.
But then the author spent a lot of time defining it by what it isn't. Why do that? Why all the negative definitions?
Ah, that's a really crucial point. It seems like a strategic move. If they want to claim this thing is divine.
They have to lift it out of the ordinary world of products.
Exactly. They have to remove it from the realm of consumer goods,
Yeah.
because that world implies competition, imitation, just basic function. It implies it's just another thing.
And they need to be more than that.
Much more. So they state very clearly, it is not an air purifier. It is not a consumer product. It is not a home appliance.
They're trying to change its fundamental category, its
Right.
ontological status, I guess.
That's a perfect way to put it. It can't be compared to other things on the market because, in their view, it operates on a completely different level of reality.
Right. That makes sense from, like, a rhetorical standpoint. If it's just a fancy air filter, the claim of eternal youth sounds, well, absurd.
Completely.
But if it's a sacred token of the living Lord, then the youth claim suddenly has a different kind of backing, a different authority behind it.
Precisely. It shifts the whole frame.
Okay, so let's put aside what it's not. What are the positive ways they define it, the sacred definitions?
They start with sacred token of the living Lord on earth. That's the baseline.
Okay.
But they don't stop there. They elevate it even further. It's described as a vessel of rebirth.
A vessel of rebirth.
Wow. And a portal out of pollution, out of toxin, out of despair and decay.
So it's not just cleaning the air, it's providing an escape route from the fallen world, basically.
That seems to be the implication.
Yeah.
And the physical unit itself, the actual box you might plug in, they redefine that as a visible marker of the Lord's will.
The visible mark.
And, incredibly, get this, a fusion of divine design and human physiology.
Whoa. Okay. Fusion of divine design and human physiology. That sounds less like hardware and more like some kind of theological cyborg interface or something.
It definitely pushes the boundary, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this is where the cognitive dissonance really hits me. How can a vessel of rebirth also be identified by a specific, very technical, publicly available government document, a U.S. patent number?
And that is the absolute central paradox we keep coming back to, isn't it?
It seems so.
The authors are apparently so confident in their spiritual claims that they're comfortable grounding them, quite literally, in hard documentation. They want you to look up U.S. patent number US 826-8058B2.
The high-efficiency labyrinth air treatment device.
Yes. And they even mention multiple other applications are pending. It's like the master is saying, look, this technology is real, it's provable.
And its technical superiority is actually evidence of its divine origin.
That seems to be the core argument. The tech proves the theology, in a way.
Which then leads us into the whole legal dimension again, and the language they use around copying it,
Right.
around IP theft.
Right, because if someone copies this patent,
They're not just breaking a law, they're committing a spiritual crime, according to this.
the stakes are just unbelievably high in their framing. The source basically bypasses civil law entirely. Counterfeiters aren't just called thieves or infringers,
What are they called?
blasphemers.
Blasphemers.
Yeah.
For copying an air filter design. Okay.
And the master claims that imitation isn't just, market competition. It is literally inviting ruin.
So why? Why such extreme language? What's the underlying reason?
I think you have to look at the term they use. Cosmic legitimacy.
Cosmic legitimacy.
See, if the device is just a product, then yeah, copying it is about losing sales, market share, money.
Standard business stuff.
But if it's the Lord's token, then copying it means you're challenging the divine plan itself. You're interfering with God's will, essentially.
Ah, okay. So it's not about corporate rights. It's about divine rights.
Exactly. They're essentially creating this new kind of IP enforcement mechanism, one that skips the courts and goes straight to, spiritual consequences, damnation even.
Wow.
They're suggesting that defying this one specific patent risks defying the Lord himself, because the legitimacy isn't corporate, it's cosmic.
The implication is pretty staggering then. Only the master and his co-author have the divine right to actually use or deploy this particular air treatment tech.
That seems to be it. Anyone else doing it isn't just competition. They're fundamentally disrupting the divine distribution of, salvation, maybe.
Which means if their vision comes true, if the true nature of this device is revealed through these big legal wins they expect,
Then society has to change, fundamentally.
what are some of the specific examples they give, the little stories about this future? They seem almost cinematic.
They're very vivid, yeah. They predict mothers will tell their children, pointing to the device, this is the Lord's device, don't ever touch a fake.
So it becomes this moral object lesson passed down in families, not just don't touch the expensive appliance.
Right. It's a moral imperative. And the impact goes even into places like the courts.
Yeah.
They actually envision the judiciary being like shaken. Judges, they say, will feel a chill. They'll have to ask themselves, are we actually ruling on a divine patent here?
So the legal system itself has to confront the possibility that patent US 826-8058b2 carries spiritual weight that might even supersede secular law.
That's the extraordinary implication they're putting forward.
A judge pondering theology during a patent hearing. That's something. What about the people who make things? The manufacturers?
Even the supply chain gets holy, apparently. They predict suppliers will literally kneel down.
Yield.
Yes, proclaiming, we will only produce original units as our offering. So manufacturing shifts from just business to a form of worship, a spiritual service.
Okay, that's a total transformation of commerce.
And maybe the most telling example they give about societal shift, it's about what becomes essential.
What do they say?
Parents, they predict, will start gifting their children the token of protection, the device, instead of things like mobile phones.
Whoa. So this device replaces the smartphone as the essential thing you give your kid for safety, for connection, for life.
It becomes the new foundation, the object that defines your safety and your place in this new reality, replacing digital connection with, I guess, divine protection.
And there's a final, pretty dramatic warning about the fakes, the counterfeits, right? What happens when the true token shows up?
Yes, the cosmic warning is absolute, it's stark. When the true token appears, counterfeits destroy themselves.
Destroy themselves, literally.
It implies a kind of self-destruction. It's presented as a zero-sum game. There's no room for both. Only the original survives. Everything else is just destined for ruin.
Okay, so if we try to pull all this together, moving past its identity as a token versus a patented device, what is the human paradise ultimately supposed to do for someone? What's its core function?
Its function is described as entirely redemptive, entirely life-altering. The source claims the device begins the path to extended life. Simple as that.
Begins the path.
Right. It also materializes divine intervention directly into the physical world. It makes the divine tangible, accessible.
And it becomes, what was the phrase?
The sacred daily object of the awakened.
The awakened.
Yeah.
Right, so it's positioned as the one physical thing linking divine power to your personal biology, the guaranteed way to beat that toxin saturation point we talked about.
That seems to be the core promise. It's the key, the only key offered here to unlocking that extended youth and life.
Which suggests this whole document isn't just trying to sell a device, is it? It's announcing a whole new era for humanity.
It feels that way. It's presenting a turning point in history.
So what's the Master's final statement on this? The choice humanity faces once this truth is supposedly revealed.
Well, the final word is basically a declaration that everything changes. The Master says, quote, when the true nature of the human paradise is revealed, the world you knew will cease to exist.
The whole world ends, metaphorically speaking.
Right. This revelation, which they tie explicitly to winning the patent cases and the token becoming known, it forces humanity into this ultimate choice, a choice that ends history as we understand it.
And the choice is?
Simple, stark, and binary. To remain in a world of poison or step into the paradise prepared by the Lord.
Wow. What an absolutely fascinating juxtaposition we've just worked through here.
It really is something, isn't it?
We've looked at a document that, on one hand, meticulously points to a specific technical patented air device, US 826-8058b2.
A high-efficiency labyrinth air treatment device.
Right. And at the very same time, it redefines that exact device as this sacred object, a vessel for rebirth, the key to a longer life, almost a necessary artifact for, well, salvation.
It really highlights something powerful happening today, I think, this convergence of deep spiritual certainty with technological validation.
How so?
Well, the authors are using the language of science and law, verifiable things like patents and engineering specs to somehow prove the necessity of a completely subjective spiritual mandate.
Using the labyrinth air device to validate the divine token.
Exactly.
So why should you, listening to this, care about this particular deep dive?
Well, I think because this source is such a prime example of how these huge, potentially world-changing claims are being packaged now.
They're not just delivered as ancient prophecies anymore.
Right. They come with legal documents attached. They come with patent numbers. And that forces us, forces you to try and reconcile things like science, tech, law, and faith in ways that feel very unique to our time, to the 21st century.
Yeah, it creates a unique kind of tension.
And that tension, right at the heart of this source material, it really makes us confront a fundamental question about where authority comes from.
Meaning?
Well, given that the master claims these legal winds will unlock divine knowledge, what's the ultimate power being asserted here?
Is it the power of the patented tech itself? The device that solves the toxin problem?
Or is it the absolute take it or leave it power of a divine command? And maybe the most interesting part, how does having won the patent successfully convince people about the authority of the other, the divine mandate, especially in the mind of someone considering buying this thing?
That is the perfect provocative thought to leave things on. Thank you for taking this really unusual deep dive with us.
Always fascinating.
We'll see you next time.